Okay, so if you've watched the first series of lessons, you'll now have a basic understanding of what boxing is. You'll understand the stance, whether you're orthodox or southpaw, but what about the rest of your body? What's the rest of your body need to be doing in order for you to be a successful boxer? Well, let's first get into our stance. So I'm orthodox stance, my right foot is back, my left foot is forward. I'm going to take my hands and put them out, and I'm going to bring my elbows and tuck them into my stomach like this. They're almost going to like sit on my stomach, but my arms are going to be really relaxed. The more relaxed we can get our arms, the less tension you're going to have in your bicep, and the less your arms are going to get tired from keeping your hands up. And this is a very common problem I see with beginners trying to keep their hands up. They're like tensing, trying to keep them here, and it makes it so much harder when you just not resting them on your body. So that's the first thing to think about. So you've got our elbows tucked in. Why have you got our elbows tucked in? Because we're trying to guard stop any body shots from coming in. If anyone's ever been hit in the liver before, you know it is debilitating. So this right elbow, we want to keep nice and tucked in, covering our liver so we don't get that left hook to the body. Same with our front elbow, keep it nice and tucked in, left elbow. This is how we are. The same goes for our hands in terms of relaxation. We want to keep them open and relaxed like this. We don't want them tensed up like this because, again, this is going to cause fatigue. We want to keep them nice and relaxed, hands nice and open. We want to have our right hand just tucked under our right eye, or rear hand right under our rear eye, if you can call it a rear eye, and our lead hand just under our left eye. Obviously, if you're southpaw, then it's going to be the other way around. But for demonstration purposes, I'll do my normal stance. And then we want to be able to see just over our lead hand. You can vary the position of this hand. Like you'll see a lot of Soviet fighters, they tend to bring it a little bit higher like this. I know Alexander Usyk does that, but for me personally, I like to just keep it here so I can see over my left hand. However, as long as our hands are generally in front of our face or close to our face, then we're going to easily be able to position them to block shots coming forward. A lot of fighters, they keep their rear hand in front of their face like this to stop the jab coming through. But whether you prefer it there or here, then it's just down to personal preference. If you find that it's much more effective defending like this than like this, then do that. The next point I want to make is about the shape of your body. Now, you sort of want to create a concave shape. You want to curl your back in like this and round your shoulders as much as you can. And the reason for this is because it makes you a much smaller target. Like you're much more compact when you're rounded like this. See my back? Nice and rounded. Now I'm a nice small target. I'm hard to hit here. Not only does rounding my back and having this concave shape make me a much smaller target, but it also brings my shoulders a bit closer to my chin. And you'll see a lot in the likes of Mayweather. He uses the shoulder roll when he's in his Philly shell. He brings his shoulder right up here and shots will just glance over and not hit him in the face. So that's another part of our defense, another part of our shape. So having our shoulders nice and tucked in. We don't want to be like this. We don't want to be tense. We want to be relaxed and everything just sat like so, with our weight distributed properly like we talked about in the first series of lessons. Now, one of the most common mistakes I see in novice boxers is they keep their chin really high in the air like this. They'll be moving around the ring like this. And this is basically like having a sign on your head saying, "Knock me out," because that's effectively what it's doing. If you've got your chin in the air, you're so much more of a bigger target, and getting the right shape is all about making yourself as small as possible. So we want to tuck our chin, like we want to relax the muscles in our neck. So our chin is just resting on our chest here. And we're looking through our eyebrows and just over our hands. So we're nice, compact, and everything now is relaxed. I'm not wasting any energy. I'm conserving all that energy ready for my attacks. And that is how you keep a good shape in boxing. It's all well and good learning how to have proper shape, but the only way you're going to see it mirrored in your actual boxing is by drilling it over and over and over again. A mistake I kept making when I first started boxing, and a mistake I see commonly happen among new boxers is that they'll usually drop one of their hands, usually their rear hands. So this is a drill you can implement whether you're on the bag or whether you're shadow boxing, just to try and stop you from dropping that hand. And that is to simply place a glove in between your hand and your chin and just be moving around and just jabbing. If you do a few rounds of that every single day, in no time, your hand's going to start sticking to the side of your face and you won't have to worry about it as much of a problem. So that is how to build a proper guard and implement proper shape into your boxing. The more you can think about this, the tighter your defense will be and the better your boxing will become. Okay, so we've covered the basic guard position. The elbows tucked in, the chin down, the hands high. But you might be saying, well, what about other professional fighters you've seen using all these different types of guard positions? And how can I implement those things? Well, that is something that you do as you build on your fundamentals. As you get better at boxing, you'll be able to implement these types of guards. And that's what we're going to cover in this video. However, I don't want you to start with these like styles of guard, because starting with the Philly shell is just going to get you knocked out for your first few fights. So I would much prefer, or do in fact, just stick to the original basic guard like this, the one we taught in the last lesson. And then as you've had, 5, 10, 15, 20 plus fights, then you can start implementing stuff like the Philly shell, which is the first one we'll cover. The Philly shell, popularized by Floyd Mayweather, is a style of shape or guard where you keep your lead hand low, defending your body. You keep your right hand high and you use your shoulder to deflect shots, to deflect their rear hand if they're orthodox as well. So the same principle always applies. You want to keep your shape, you want to keep you as small target as possible. And he does this by tucking up this way as opposed to this way. So he's defending all the shots to the body with his left arm and all the shots to the head with his lead shoulder and right hand. A rear hand, he'll roll with his shoulder, the rear hand. Say his opponent throws a jab, he'll just catch the jab. Say his opponent he'll catch the body shots with his lead arm. And overall, just keeping his chin tucked and under his shoulder is what's allowing him to have such amazing defense. The next guard style you might see is the high guard. You'll see people completely neglect defending the body and bring their hands up like this. And this is a great way to bait your opponent, bait them to throw a certain shot for you to counter, but we'll talk about that in later videos. When it comes to using this shape, your hands are up here because you're leaning forward a little bit. Like if you're leaning back, then your hands need to be covering your body, because you don't want to be in the position where your hands are high and your body is in range. If your hands are going to be high like this, then your body needs to be sort of out of range and you're waiting to bait them for a counter, for example. Another style of guard you'll see is the cross guard. And I know it's very unpopular and it looks really like sort of dirty boxing, but it's essentially where you cross your hands over like this and you come forward. You'll see George Foreman use this a lot. I think Dillian White uses it a lot. It's a great way to just be coming forward and certainly when it comes to defending headshots. When it comes to body shots, you're probably going to get smashed in the liver, but you don't need to worry about this as an amateur boxer anyway. No one really uses it. The stereotypical Soviet style guard is the next one we're going to talk about, and this is a long range. This is where you keep your hands more out in front of you like this. And you can use this type of guard to maintain distance. If you're a taller opponent fighting a shorter opponent, then you can use your lead hand to keep your opponent at bay. Boxers such as Alexander Usyk or Vladimir Klitschko use this guard, and it's very effective if you're a long range fighter, you're a taller fighter, or you just prefer throwing straight shots and long left hooks. Another style of shape, even though wouldn't even call it shape, is just having your hands down like so. This is used by people such as Prince Nassim Hamed or Muhammad Ali. They keep their hands down and just rely on reflexes and head movement to defend, and obviously footwork. Obviously, forget all of this if you're just starting out. Make sure you just stick to maintaining the basic guard position, and then those other sort of positions you'll figure out as you go along through sparring and having fights. That is all for all the other types of guard positioning. Don't worry about these unless you're past 20 fights. You should just be focusing on the basic guard position.